Okay, you all good? Let's do it. Hello and welcome to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast.
Welcome to the B2C Lead Generation Podcast. We've got George Collins from Leads Navigator.
Hello.
We're at the PI Live show. Got a load of noise, people in the background, all spreading COVID and different things. STIs, who else knows what. How are you finding the show?
Yeah, really good. Great to actually have kind of human, skin to skin contact, and not talking to people through the screen. It's been very, very welcome.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's pressing the flesh, as they say, or bumping the elbow.
Hunt or elbow, or don't touch me, depending on who you are.
So we were just talking briefly off the camera and off the podcast about the education of clients in lead generation and how important it can be. So how do you approach that in Lead Navigator?
So I think, for us, education is about kind of making it clear what the campaign is all about, and there's an education around what type of supporters. So in our case, we're aligned to the charitable sector, and so what types of supporters sit within what type of audiences, what channel you can use, digital channels you can use to go and acquire that support. Typically, the types of campaign we're involved in, value exchange is a growing area. Value exchange has been around forever, but we seem to have a quite a cool recipe on getting it to work. And so it's educating our clients how they can use that channel effectively.
Could you explain sort of exactly what you mean by value exchange?
So value exchange in kind of simple terms is you are asking for some information, and in return you are giving something back. So the exchange of value in this case are generally the supporters' details. So we're very clear that by giving us your details, we're going to then contact you. But by doing that, we're going to reward you with a free gift. Generally a low value gift, but it's relevant to that specific charity. You generally see value exchange campaigns running with things like tote bags, pin badges, etc., which are kind of mass market. If somebody doesn't have any kind of affinity with a brand or a charity, they're going to take that tote bag. But what we're saying is actually, if you can devise a product that's relevant to that client, to that group, to the tribe, to the charity, to the brand, then actually we're going to get individuals who are actually probably would quite willingly take a phone call, receive a letter, take a call to action.
Yeah. The charity sector can be seen as quite not as advanced as other sectors. So how do you approach that with the clients that you work with?
Digital is definitely a growing area. So we were mentioning off the camera a second ago about Lloyd's do an index every year, and that reports on how kind of they report it as the charity sector being behind the curve. And so sometimes when we're talking to new organisations about how to be more effective around lead generation, it's often either new content or they've done it before and it didn't really work. So we're very much kind of approaching that with through education and showing the clients actually if you do it through this kind of tried and tested way that we've done over the last 12-18 months, and then there is kind of fruit at the end of that journey. I think for us, we've got an affinity with the lottery sector as well, and there's a real surge in online digital growth within lotteries, and that's also kind of mirrored with the commercial sector. There's far more ad spend going in line now than there is offline, and so it's often when we're talking to clients or prospective clients, they're often ears pricked, they're kind of interested to learn, but we usually just need to go through the motions.
So we were talking to a guy from MBF a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about the transformation process of the lead into call centre or client, whatever it is that they're going to try and approach things. Do you have to approach that from a charity angle of going through the scripts that they use or other things to see how they're going to approach it, then inform the lead generation? Is that, I feel anyway, can be where sometimes lead gen gets lost. You know,
Yeah, definitely.
the generation process is doing one thing and then the sales process is doing entirely another.
I think that, so interestingly for us, I think we are also, as an agency, we're just over a year old, and we're on a journey ourselves. So where we were talking right at the beginning about, it was just about Facebook recruitment and about how to create leads and create an audience. Our sector, our clients, they're used to kind of being provided with sales. And so there's a whole spectrum in there in terms of where we might fit in. And I think where we're learning as well is often coming to the table with 5 or 6 different options sometimes isn't the best approach. There's an element of the client wants to be led, show actually we've done this before. This is how it works. This is the outcome. Let's test that, and then we test and learn. We've got to use our company values. We've got a value. Well, 2 key values for us are that better never stops. So it's better just to get going, and if you can use something that's tried and tested before, then great, and then we can optimise over time. And one that I think we did review was that data doesn't lie. Like doesn't care about your feelings.
Thank God it doesn't include the swear words.
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. And, we had a situation recently where some digital activity wasn't being run by us. It was being run by a third-party agency, and they'd set up the campaign slightly differently to how we agreed. So we had asked for optimization for landing page, and they had optimized it to page view, and that has a big impact on the type of people coming through. And the client asked us, what should we do? Should we stop it or carry on? My gut feeling was, well, absolutely stop it, because it's not like a brief. But actually, that was a gut feeling, and so we let it play out.
Sometimes gut feeling can be a thing to follow, right? Your intuition.
Yeah, but I think that like in that situation, so values I think for any organisation are key. But that in that situation, I was going to make a call on a client campaign because of my ego, effectively. They haven't done what we had asked them, which isn't the way to run a campaign. But I think we now know what the best optimisation for a lead gen campaign is for that type of target market, for that type of value exchange. So it's a lesson learned.
And CPA is like a massive thing in the charity sector, right? It's like live and die. I mean, it is in most campaigns, but especially so because of the donor level and how long they stay. What's your experience been working in the sector and like hitting the CPA?
I think so. It's either CPA or ROI are the 2 most common. I think quite often, at this end, the kind of sanity bit. At the beginning, again, this is stuff that you guys talk about all the time, but it's genuinely true. Often we're talking about vanity stuff. So it's like we've had all of these clicks, we had all these people on our landing page. It's great, but actually, like, what's the connection to the reality? Like, how many sales can we make? And so we tend to talk about CPA as a focus. But I think CPAs are wildly different per organisation, per product, per stage of the life cycle, per a number of different things. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is just be consistent, deliver on what we promise we think we can achieve. Like most things, and certainly Facebook for us is kind of 90% of what we do. It's not an exact science, but you can control it.
What we were talking off camera a little bit about lead nurturing. What's lead nurturing like in the charity sector? Is it something they do well, don't do at all? Or?
So I think we follow a methodology. It's a digital marketer methodology of the value journey. So we refer to it as a supporter value journey, where you engage someone, you create awareness, you create engagement, and you create a series of mini conversions. And then by taking an individual, a supporter, a customer, whatever, on that journey, you have a better chance of extending their lifetime value and the length of time that they're buying product from you. That's common knowledge, that's sensible, that's old school marketing. I think quite often where our clients have been is we don't want to do that. We want to do Facebook conversion ads,
Say a really transactional approach.
Back. And you're asking, like, from a lottery perspective, you're asking individuals to sign up to an annual subscription, essentially, monthly direct debit, which is a big ask for Cold. And so, if the client goes into it without kind of having control over certain levers, that's where the CPAs are kind of 100 plus. But I'm not saying Sponsorbands can't be used effectively, because they absolutely can, and we see some fantastic results. But I think there's also, around the nurturing point, there's also some just old school traditional. We need to generate awareness, nurture, have a relationship, serve decent content that's related to the affinity of the audience to that brand, and then take them on a journey, and then at the right time invite them to support, to give money, to download something, to share something, etc.
Brilliant. And when you're going to have a website for Leads Navigator? We're all dying today.
Yeah, so it's coming. So we were really fortunate in that when we launched, we had a couple of clients who were really keen to kind of put us to the test. We promised a good game, and then the work we did with them grew, and then we had a number of referrals, and then so our client base grew. And we've just been kind of going on that journey, as I said earlier. But we also recognise that we do genuinely add really good value, and we've got something to say. So we also want to be kind of outward facing now. So in answer to your question, website is coming in probably 3 to 4 weeks. We're right at the last stages now. We literally launched, and it was kind of, we had a brand name idea, a logo quickly that we did on Canva, and then we were away. So soon.
And just final question: is it, so you mentioned charity and lottery sectors you work in? Are you sticking to those sectors, or are you moving lead gen and anything else?
I think for us, it's an area that we know very well. I've been in the lottery sector for 7 years, and we have a really good kind of connection to that particular vertical. I think in terms of growth, I think one of the divergences will be more kind of looking at that value journey piece and supporting organisations to do earlier work and more of that, so that we can control the CPAs further down the line. And I think we will stick within the charity sector. That's where we feel like we can kind of put purpose. Also, I think what we are interested in looking at is working for some commercial organisations who are kind of mission orientated. So they've got a tribe of people who follow what they do. That organisation may be a B Corp, or they may, they're invested in the community. We'd like to support them as well.
And I guess the great thing about charities in the lottery sector, to a degree, is what them are global anyway.
Well,
So you can track one country, and then the next thing I'll say is, can you go and do it in Europe, or can you do it in the US, or can you do it everywhere? The same methodology applies on Facebook, however you're driving traffic.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's finding people who have an affinity with your brand, putting relevant content in front of them, taking them on a journey, and setting up the stage to have a good relationship. And that can definitely be done cross country. For us, it's very much, the lottery sector for us is very much about the UK. We're restricted in that sense to be focused on the UK, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't provide services outside the UK. So, yeah.
Cool. That's been great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Cheers, bro.
Thanks for listening to the B2C Lead Generation podcast. Be sure to hit subscribe to hear more from those at the very cutting edge of the lead gen world.